Today on Drew, secrets will be revealed. It's the most memorable moments from season 1.
You have changed my life.
I had so much that I wanted to talk to Oprah about. I actually didn't sleep the night before. It all starts now.
Please welcome Drew Barrymore.
Hello. Hi, everyone. The countdown is on for season 2 of the Drew Barrymore Show. It all kicks off in exactly 1 week, Monday, September 13th, and you're not going to want to miss it. We've got huge guests, unbelievable surprises, and a live studio audience. I can't wait to see your beautiful faces here in person. Who knows? You might be on camera. Until then, let's take a look back at our favorite moments from season 1 with some inside scoop from yours truly, a little Barrymore behind the scenes, if you will. First up, one of the most impactful moments for me was interviewing my interview icon. She is daytime royalty, truly. No one comes close, and I can only hope to honor her by doing my best. Here's my chat with the indomitable Oprah Winfrey. Welcome to the show. Dare I say, maybe you've seen it?
Yes, I have. And may I say, dare I say, seeing it actually changed my life. You have changed my life. You certainly changed my work life because I was there for that very first show where you beamed in Cameron and there you all were. And we were, didn't know that you all weren't in the same space. I watched that and I said, hey, why can't we do what Drew did? And why can't we do what Drew did? And since that time for Oprah Conversations for Apple TV, the first time I did it was with President Barack Obama talking about his book, Promised Land. And there we were sitting right across from each other in my living room in front of the fireplace. And I said then, this is because of you, Drew. So thank you, pioneer woman.
I have to thank you so much because you didn't need to give us the credit, but you did. And for those who are not aware, here's a little taped piece on the technology of which Oprah and I are talking about. When we launched this show in the middle of a pandemic, we had to get creative. With the magic of technology, we came up with a way to transport our guests from our LA studio right here to New York. How cool is that? We knew one person who thought so too. It's Oprah! It's Oprah! It's Oprah! Oprah approved! Oprah likey! Yes, the Oprah was inspired to use a similar green screen technology to interview guests like Chip and Joanna Gaines, and of course, President Barack Obama.
Can she see me yet?
I can.
This is pretty cool technology you got here.
Oh, why, thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Oprah. Listen, we may not be able to be in the same room, but we can sure feel like it and look like it. I thank you so much because I'm going to be really honest. I haven't really admitted this out loud, but it was really scary for me to be, a girl, a woman, I don't know what I am, a female, asking for people to take this risk and spend this money and ask ourselves these questions. And I'm so grateful to my bosses that they allowed us to do this because this was, a check and a risk away from not happening. And I want to ask you, is this where we're going? The water's out of the bottle. People are not going to travel the way they used to. People have gotten comfortable with interview styles. Some are going to show up, some aren't. You're going to have access to more people than you ever did in some ways because of the technology. It's all going to be maybe a mixed bag. And if it is, don't we have to make it the best and most compelling television in honor of the audience?
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that. And I think that's why I say you literally have changed my life. And when people say that, I say, because listen, after Drew, I'm not going nowhere. And so the truth is, you're able to have better access. And I think there will certainly be times in both of our lives and in our careers when being directly in front of the person makes a world of difference and may be necessary. But I think that in terms of having access to anybody in the world at any time, what you all did in that first show lit the path for changing it forever. And I'm sure we would have done it today, but I'm where there's no studio. So I'm like in the middle of nowhere out here. You need a studio to be able to do it.
You really do.
If there was a studio within 500 miles, I would have done it.
I'm so glad. And may we do it again in the future, because I was so glad to see you embracing this, you acknowledging us, and us moving forward in this way, because it does become a new normal. And for the girl who felt really, honestly, again, this is the part I don't talk about, is when you're fighting for things in business, it's not comfortable, especially when they're not done. You feel like the messy one. You feel like the one who might be spending people's money in an improper way. You don't know if the risk is going to pay off, but you get into your convictions and you fight for them. And so when I saw you embracing the technology, it told that person who hung up the phone that day, because I remember saying, listen, you guys, we have got to do this. We have got to find a new way for our future of television. This is not funny. We are in a really unprecedented time, and we can't go on with the home show forever. We just can't.
You did the thing that I had to do 1,000 times over the years. And when I first started, so let me applaud you for doing the thing that every person, particularly every woman, needs to learn as soon as possible. Your gut is right for you. So when you feel something in your gut and you think, wow, I need to really move on that, that means it is right for you. It doesn't mean that it is right for everybody else. And I think it takes women in particularly a long, long time to be affirmed in their own beliefs. And that is the reason, actually, we were the #1 talk show for 25 years, is because it always came back to, what do I feel? What do I feel is my real intention in doing this? And I cannot do it if it's not true to me, even if everybody else says. And many times, Drew, producers would come in with ideas and I would say, I can't do that. I don't know how I can sit in that chair and keep a straight face and do that and do that. I'm not gonna be able to do that. So I applaud you for going with your gut, because your gut is always right for you.
Well, I think you've given so much courage to everyone, especially women, to fight for what we believe in. And I was going to ask you if you had any advice. May I ask, when you ended your first season and you knew you were rounding the corner into season 2, what were you telling yourself?
I actually was telling myself, self, you was right. Because as most people don't know this now, but when we launched in 1986, I had been a local talk show in Chicago for 2 years. What I understood was that there's a commonality in our human experience, and that people are no different in Chicago than they are in New York, than they are in Idaho, than they are in Rhode Island, when it comes to the core. Now we're in, everybody's so divided about their politics and their beliefs and so forth. But I still do believe at the core, we are all the same. If you ask blue states, red states, purple states, what really matters to you, the answer is the same. People care about their families. They care about being able to live decent lives. They care about being able to do that in comfort and do that with a sense of peace. And I still think, in spite of all the craziness, in spite of all the divisions, which is what everybody talks about all the time, is that we are more alike than we are different, which is a very famous Maya Angelou line. She used to say that all the time. And in our humanness, we all are just seeking the same things. And that's what this platform, the Drew Barrymore Show offers every day, is a chance for those of us of like-mindedness, those of us who are seeking the joy, who wants to wear some bows, who want...
I went extra jaunty for you. I was like, bows and flowers, it's Oprah. Like, I'm surprised I don't have bells on and like a boa. I had so much that I wanted to talk to Oprah about. I actually didn't sleep the night before. Stay tuned for part 2 of our chat.
What I realized is that Gayle was my regulation. Makes me want to cry now thinking about it. And is still the person in my life. I have probably 3 people in my life who are going to tell me the truth no matter what. Here's the bottom line. That really was the hugest epiphany for me.
Welcome back. Right now, we're diving into our favorite moments from season 1 of the Drew Barrymore Show with some exclusive host commentary from me, your host, and no guest compares to the queen of daytime, Miss Oprah Winfrey. And of course, I had to talk to her about her mutual BFF, Gayle King, and all her favorite things. But Oprah had a new book out about how our brains process trauma. And while I love to talk about the tough stuff, and who better to talk about that than with Oprah Winfrey? Please take a look at part 2 of our conversation. You now have Oprah Daily, which I happened to mention to Gayle, that I thought that the Oprah Daily, the daily word, it's so brilliant.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I actually came up with that because I wanted it to be, what I realized is that the Oprah Show was a habit, just like the Drew Barrymore Show. People are creating a habit around that. And that's what you want. That's your core viewer. That's who you're speaking to every day. And the idea of having a daily inspiration point, a daily quote, a daily something that you can rely on to give you just a little lift. My whole goal throughout my life, even before I could articulate it, is how do you bring a light into people's lives? How do you let them see the best of themselves? How do you allow them to grow into becoming more of who they are, which is what every one of us is actually aspiring to do, whether you can articulate that for yourself or not. You just want to become more solid. You want to have the ability to have the fullest expression of yourself as a human being. And you do that by habits, by rituals, by creating a space where you can give back to yourself in a way that allows you to flourish. So we are growing it into what I know will be in the future is a daily spot of inspiration for everybody. So thank you for mentioning that.
We need you on the daily. I listened to your Sirius XM channel through both my pregnancies, and it was my daily North Star. It was my daily fix.
Well, thank you for that.
It's true. I'll never forget the story you told about Gayle getting the water for the traffic cop and how that moment was her being such an important and good parent to her son because she was showing him the kind of person to be. And that gave me hope because I felt so lost. Like, what blueprint do I have to pull on to become a parent? I was scared out of my mind. And I thought, hearing that story, if I can be an example to my kids, maybe I don't have to draw from my past or even fight it. I can try to be myself, and that can give me hope to be a good parent. That story literally changed my life. It was, so thank you for that.
Well, Gayle is to date, and she always says, well, all parents do that. And all parents say, no, they don't. Gayle is to date the best model parent I have ever seen. I've never seen anybody who was more engaged, more respectful of her children. And when she first had kids, because we were best friends and met at a television station in Baltimore. And once she married and had kids, I thought, well, there's going to be distance in our relationship because she's not going to have time to, devote to our friendship. And that did not happen. But what did happen, every time she was on the phone with me and one of her children entered the room, she would stop, she would put the phone down. Even if she didn't put the phone down, they would be acknowledged. She was present there for them. She would say, Mommy's on the phone now with Annie O. And morning, Bear, she calls Kirby Bear. Morning, there was an acknowledgement and what I would have to say over the years, a mutual respect. And I know we're going to be talking later about the subject of what happened to you. But one of the things that Dr. Perry says in this book is that when children grow up and they realize that they are not getting the respect that they deserve from their parents, it changes who they are. What your kids want, and this is actually true of everybody, they want to know that you're here, that you see me and you hear me, and that I matter to you. And that is true for everybody else in your life too.
Speaking of this extraordinary book that I've been reading, and I will forever have the chart that Dr. Perry put in the book as far as...
the upside down triangle?
The upside down triangle. What you guys talk about as far as the impression that children are left with at such an earlier age than I think was spoken about in at least my growing up. I think even into almost having kids, I feel like everybody kind of went, they won't notice when they're young. And I did not understand why that was the notion. It didn't seem right. It didn't feel right. But I wanted to believe it because that's what so many people had said.
Here's the bottom line. That really was the hugest epiphany for me. All these years, I've done multiple shows where people say exactly what you just said, Drew. Oh, they won't remember. I'm in an abusive relationship. And as soon as, when the kids are young, when they get older, I'm going to move. I'm going to get out of the relationship. The most damage is done from 0 to 2 months, because that's the time when the brain is taking in everything. And anybody who's ever had children, you all know this because you get to watch that whole language socialization process. How do they learn the word dada? How do they learn mama? How do they learn spoon? How do they learn? So as they're taking in all of that, when the brain is the most open and receptive, they're also taking in all the other stuff. That changed everything for me in terms of how people are raising their kids and how we see that what you do in front of the youngest children matters. I have a question, which is that when I was born, my dad, he had split with my mom. And I just didn't know him. He was very abusive. He would come around. He would trash the house. He was scary. There are a lot of people, and you share a story of what happened the first night that you stayed with your mom in Milwaukee. And for people who have had a parent, one or two, that did not want to be in their child's lives for whatever their reasons were, which is valid to them, very hard for a child to understand. What do you talk through with yourself or other people who have had that kind of start to their lives, who deal with that kind of trauma? You talk about the eyes and the being wanted and the being set up right. What happens when you're not? So here's the good news about all of this, because all of us have had things to happen to us in our lives that caused us to feel unwanted and not important. Everybody has at some point in your life, even if you come from the best of circumstances. It is possible to take your post-traumatic pain and turn that into post-traumatic power and post-traumatic wisdom. I know this for sure, that whatever has happened to you can also be for you if you allow it to be. The thing that has healed me the most is taking the pain that I endured, suffered, survived as a child, and turning that inside out So that is why I created my school, specifically looking for girls who were just like me, who came from poor backgrounds, who came from dysfunctional backgrounds, who many times felt unwanted, unloved. How do I create an environment for them? How do I give back? This is how you save yourself. How do I give back that which I was not given? And when you can do that, you begin to fill the hole inside yourself. That giving back has become really what my legacy is. And I will share this with you, that I was sitting with Maya Angelou after I'd come back from the opening of my school. And I said, oh, this is going to be the school. This is going to be my greatest legacy. I mean, these girls, this is what my life was for. And she said, you have no idea what your legacy will be. And I said, oh, no, Maya, you should have been there. I'm telling you, it's going to be the school. And she said, I said, you have no idea what your legacy will be. Your legacy is every life you touch. Your legacy isn't your name on a school or any other building. Your legacy is every life you touch. So I say this to you, Drew Barrymore. Your legacy, this is what Maya said to me. Everybody who's ever watched a show and decided, I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to go on a diet, I'm going to treat myself better, I'm going to leave an abusive relationship. Every life that you have touched that has experienced your voice and the power of your platform, that is your legacy.
And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to have a little Oprah sprinkled throughout our show this season, as we have partnered with OprahDaily.com. I am on that feed daily for sure. For some special news features in Drew's News, we'll be in collaboration. What a dream come true. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Right now, I want to talk about a dear friend who has taught me so much about food and cooking over the last 3 years. She's also a part of the Drew Crew, which is an amazing group of our show's contributors, alumni, if you will. Let's take a look at the best of Chef Pilar Valdes. She's a culinary goddess, a woman who deserves a thunderous standing ovation. My culinary partner in crime, she's my dear friend. It's Chef Pilar Valdes.
Today, we're making a peppery steak with an agrodolce sauce.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna start with this New York strip over here, actually, for this recipe. The reason why I love a New York strip is because it's tender like a filet, and it has the flavor and fat just like a ribeye. So the first thing we're gonna do is season up the steak really, really well. And then you park that for like an hour and let it sit. Okay, we have some freshly crushed black pepper peppercorns. You're gonna lay that on your plate or on top, and you're gonna press down to adhere. So we've seasoned off both sides, and meanwhile, you want your pan heating over medium to medium-high heat. When your pan is nice and hot, you're gonna add some oil. And right here, actually, we have a steak that has been searing. So it's nice and hot.
Time to turn it over.
Yeah, I like to, ooh, look at that. Beautiful. So this recipe is gonna cook stovetop for 6 minutes. But just make sure you're doing essentially the same amount of time on both sides.
Same amount of time on both sides.
And we're gonna finish this steak in the oven.
Okay.
Basically. One thing to look for when you're going into the oven is definitely use an oven thermometer. So we're gonna make the agrodolce sauce real quick.
Let's do it.
We're gonna dump everything in. That's 2 tablespoons of shallots.
2 tablespoons shallots.
All that roughly chopped cranberries. Wonderful. Ooh, and then that is my balsamic over there. Some water, and then we're gonna do some honey. So all you have to do is basically bring this to a boil and then simmer it for 4 minutes until it's nice and thick. And the last little thing is off the heat, we're gonna pour in our mustard. All right, so we actually, on the side, Drew, have a steak, beautiful steak that has been resting. Critical piece to cooking steak. Rest your meat for at least 10 minutes. So the last thing to do is just spoon some of that beautiful sauce on.
Oh, this cut's not going well. I guess I'm just gonna have to eat this piece. I'm sorry. I just eat.
It is really, really good. For today, the quinoa risotto with winter squash, seared mushrooms, and fresh herbs. Shall we jump in?
Yes, we shall.
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is actually roast your squash.
And you're gonna roast them at like 400 for about 20?
20 to 30.
Okay.
What I like to do is actually cut the squash into chunks like this. Drizzle some olive oil, salt and pepper, stick it in the oven, 20 to 30, let it go. And then you're gonna take it out, and we're actually gonna make a puree. So you're gonna take the chunks, and let's pop that in the blender. Yep. Lovely. And then you're gonna have some stock, actually.
Oh, the vegetable stock.
There you go, a little bit of vegetable stock.
Here we go. Yeah, baby.
Lovely. So in the meanwhile, we had some of our quinoa going. What I like to do is I start toasting it first in a dry skillet. It adds this really nice nuttiness to the dish.
I have to say, I've not seen people do that.
Yeah,
and
it's really lovely. 45 seconds in a hot, dry pan.
Dry.
Dry.
That's the key. Don't put the oil in it.
Part. No oil, no
Okay.
nothing. And then you're gonna add some liquid into that. We use vegetable stock. And you're gonna bring that to a boil and then turn it down to simmer, and you're gonna mix it and stir it and cook it for about 18 minutes. So we're gonna take our puree.
You're going to take your puree, which I've
You're gonna
represented,
fold
folding it in.
It feels like a hug in a bowl, is what I like to say, which is
I
really
love a hug in a bowl, Pilar. Am I going to start arranging these?
Yes, please
on a plate?
arrange away.
Now,
and
these are trumpet mushrooms.
They are trumpet mushrooms. I love mushrooms.
I'm excited to bring what should be a really heavy, heavy dish to this lightness that is so healthy and good for your body, but still gives all of that satisfaction. So
And
thank
it's
you
delicious.
for the satisfaction, baby. I love you.
Love you.
They taste like peanut butter.
And with the salt on top, I mean.
Oh my God. This is a true original, just like you, Pilar.
Thank you, Drew.
I love you. I couldn't do it alone. I could only do it with Pilar. Oh, I love you, Pilar, so much. We'll be right back. Even the stars who come on our show get starstruck. Here's someone we love talking about a time they met someone they love.
The biggest time I was starstruck, I was invited to an after party at the Russian Tea Room to meet Paul McCartney. Talking to Paul McCartney is just bizarre because, he'd be like, John used to sit, like that, and you go, John Lennon? That's who you're talking about? Like, yeah, because you're Paul McCartney, and yeah. And so I just kept, kind of stuttering, just staring and kind of blinking while I was asking him all the dumb questions you asked about the Beatles and Paul McCartney. I remember I told my mom I might be going to this. My mom's like,
if you go to the Russian Tea Room, you have to get a Moscow Mule.
the owner comes over and says, can I get you anything? And I go, can I have a Moscow Mule? Thinking Paul would be like, he's cool. Do you want to refilm the Beatles with you in it? He doesn't even hear me. And the rest is history, and we currently don't speak.
You know what? We all freak out over someone at some point. Welcome back. When we launched the Drew Barrymore Show, we were in the thick of the pandemic, and so much was uncertain at the time. Everything, including school teachers, principals, and parents were stretched so thin, they were dealing with the impossible. And on the show, we talked to many educators about how they were dealing with those unprecedented times. And there was one teacher whose story really stuck with me, and we were lucky enough to help him continue to help all his students at Eton Elementary. Take a look at this. Your story is so incredible. Like, tell us about your school, first of all.
Yeah, so Eton Elementary is a school in Washington, D.C. It is in Ward 7, Northeast D.C. This community has been underserved for several years. However, this community is filled with such cultural wealth. So I like to describe it as a culturally wealthy community, although it is a Title I school, and majority of the students are receiving free and reduced lunch. But it is such a loving and caring community, you know, down from the parents to the teachers, the administration. Everyone in that community really pitches in to make sure that our students get what they need. And, you know, it's been a challenge, you know, with the pandemic starting and teachers really trying to do everything that they can. The teachers at our school have been amazing to really trying to connect with students, whether it's through FaceTime or Twitter or Instagram or any sort of way that we can connect with students. That's what we've really been trying, and you know, and it's worked out pretty well for us, but you know, it is a huge challenge.
Do you think any of your students or the other staff members might be watching right now?
Maybe, perhaps. We are closed from school today, so they could possibly be watching. I'm not sure.
You know what? I actually know they are because they're right here in our virtual audience.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, Harmony, Jalen, Aiden.
Thanks you guys so much for hanging out with us and supporting Alejandro. Okay, so you guys are in virtual learning.
Yes, yes.
What have you guys been dealing with going virtual?
Yeah, I mean, so when the pandemic first started in March, you know, it was a huge challenge to make sure that students were still receiving a high quality education. And so we really were able to understand, you know, how many students didn't have access to internet and how many students didn't have access to devices. You know, and it really was an eye-opener for a lot of us. So, you know, we were rushing, copying packets to try to print as much work as we can for students. Teachers were dropping off supplies at people's homes. You know, we were doing all types of things just to make sure that our students still have that sense of community that they would have when they come to our school building. So, you know, it was a huge challenge, and especially, you know, the internet access piece has been huge. You know, the digital divide is such a big part of, you know, the conversations that we're having now.
Yeah.
And we're really seeing how it's affected, you know, students that I teach, and also how it's affected, you know, students around the country.
Well, we actually reached out to the ASUS, which is a leading tech company driven by innovation and quality products for more than 30 years. And they're committed to providing a variety of education solutions to connect students and teachers. And they heard your incredible story, and they are giving us enough ASUS Chromebooks for every single student and teacher at Aton Elementary.
That's amazing. I like can't even fathom this. This is crazy. Meeting Drew Barrymore, getting computers for our school.
Computers for the
I'm at a loss for
entire
words. Seriously.
school, students and teachers.
Oh my goodness.
And all that we want to do on this show is recognize what's happening around us. Shine a light on people who are being such extraordinary human beings. And thank you to ASUS, we can aid in the technological aspect that you need as a tool to be the hero that you are.
Oh my God, thank you so much. I can't even, I'm so happy for everyone at Aton. I mean, this community deserves it. They are just such a strong community who, you know, every single day the students log on, they have their uniforms on, they're in front of the computer, no matter the connection, no matter if they have a pencil, no matter anything, and they just are so passionate about learning. So they deserve this so much. They truly do.
We actually followed up with Alejandro a few weeks later to present him with $50,000 and a full scholarship for him to the National University's Master's Program. Gosh, he so deserved it and more. By the way, he also won Teacher of the Year in his district. So I'm just saying, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we're revisiting our favorite moments from season 1 of the Drew Barrymore Show with a little extra behind-the-scenes info from yours truly. It's the Barrymore Cut. Now, my hands-down favorite part of the show every day is Drew's News. And last season, I had one very special guest join me at the desk, Gayle King. Now, this segment aired as like 12 minutes total, I think, but we talked for probably, I would say, for more than almost an hour. I could have talked to her for another hour. I love Gayle. Take a look.
I get the first headline, they say, so here we go. Starting with the latest vaccine news, CBS News reports that Pfizer has completed a study and found their vaccine is safe and 100% effective for kids. This is big, ages 12 to 15. So Pfizer plans to file with the FDA for emergency use of the vaccine for kids as young as 12. You know, I know, Drew, that there's still some vaccine hesitancy, but that's changing. You know, I've heard people say, well, I never got the flu shot. The difference is, if you didn't get the flu shot, it only affected you. If you don't get this vaccine, it affects all of us and the people around you. So I think this is very exciting, especially for kids, because they can go back to school. I don't know about Frankie and Olive, but aren't they sick of just looking at a little Zoom?
Everyone has hit a fatigue level that is so real. And we know we're here for a little longer, so the sooner we get vaccinated, the
better it'll
be out of it.
Get back to life. Have you? I've had mine.
I've had mine too.
Mine too.
In all of this difficult roads that we are all navigating, I have come to have a new appreciation for entertainment.
Yep, me too.
I think when the world falls apart, you just think, entertainment, you know, bigger picture problems. And then you're at home for a long time and you just need an escape.
Say entertainment, please.
Exactly.
Yes. Got it.
A show like Bridgerton, the steamy Netflix hit that broke records, is coming back for season 2. It's been a personal favorite of mine. Glamour reports that the show plans to take some real-life inspiration from former royals Harry and Meghan. And in season 2, the characters Simon and Daphne, newlyweds, new parents, will go through some struggles similar to Meghan and Harry. I think being royals, having public opinion, being new parents are sort of the similar through lines. Gayle, I can't think of anyone we've looked to for the North Star other than you and Oprah for all of the truths from Harry and Meghan.
I think that interview opened up conversations that many people weren't prepared to have or didn't want to have. But I think ultimately it's about a family that wants to be united and be together, and I'm hoping that will be the case.
And have those difficult conversations.
Yes.
And
sometimes conversations are very difficult.
Yeah. I really admire hearing all the details and opening up that important conversation and really making history in a conversation that was refusing to be had for centuries. So I'm very happy that the lid is off, and there's nothing healthy about not having those tough conversations.
There's nothing healthy when you don't talk. So let's all wish that for all involved in that particular story.
Okay, Gayle, your story up.
Okay, my turn again. This is a good one. A writer at Cosmopolitan recently admitted that she misses eavesdropping on awkward first dates. I love this. You know, we all miss going out to restaurants. Yeah, you do, with your friends. You also miss, I'll bet, sitting near strangers and listening to their private conversations. Can you relate to this? Hello, my name is Gayle. Yes. Because haven't you been in a restaurant and you hear a conversation between a couple in particular, and it's not going so well, or you've been on a train, or you're even walking down the street and you get a snippet of something? I've actually turned around and walk behind the person just so I could hear the end of the story. Are you one of those people?
Well, you love Nancy Drew, so
yes,
that's
I do.
Perfect sleuthing.
I do.
I really miss it. It was funny. Tony DeCopo on the show literally was like, yeah, you know, you guys should try not dating apps and meeting in person. I'm like, have you read The Room the last year? Nobody's in person, you know, of course. But I do think that his point is important, because I think we will get back to that. And I tried a dating app for a second.
You did?
I did, inspired by Bridgerton. I was like, I got to put myself back out there.
But did you go as Drew
Yes.
Did you go as your Drew face?
You have to be honest. No way to start anything on deception.
I know, but Drew, I would do it. I just don't want people to know that it's me.
I think also right now I'm a little confused. Like, is it my girlfriends I miss? Because for me, the truth is, and I did go on a date with a guy, and he was like, you know, and I was like, no, don't. Listen, kids, work, girlfriends, alone time, fifth is the guy. Like,
but wait, you started to say, he said, you know, what was he?
We were both talking about like why relationships are complicated. And I was like, I think I'm really clear about it. It's sort of my fifth priority. And I understand.
Well, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today we are tackling the spring cleaning on the show. And in that spirit, we must debunk the latest viral underwear myth. Videos on TikTok are claiming that you must replace your underwear every 6 to 9 months.
Boo.
And I'm here to tell you, Gayle thinks it's false.
Absolutely false.
Also, like, how many pairs of underwear are we talking about?
Well, I mean, I just think, number one, I have, you know, I have bras that sometimes you're putting a safety pin. I know that's bad. But I don't understand why you'd get rid of it 6 to 9 months, because it's still in pretty good condition.
I think if you have multiple pairs, you're probably okay.
Well, I have multiple pairs, don't you?
I do.
I'm not wearing the same pair of panties.
In that case, I would suggest hygienically disposing of them. But yeah, women in home ask doctors and experts, and they say there is no expiration date on your underpants. So good. It's not like a toothbrush.
I believe that.
They're underpants. And
look at the variety that you're showing.
See, those are pretty. I feel like I should rock something more like that. I feel like...
Maybe that's why we're single. We don't want to wear granny panties. No.
Do you wear grannies?
No, I don't.
Really?
Granny panties, no. I'm not wearing little thongs either, but no, I'm not wearing granny panties.
A sensible, sexy panty.
Yeah. Does sensible and sexy go together, Drew?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Oh, Gayle, come back to the Drew's News Desk as soon as possible. I love you. Now, don't go anywhere, because up next, we're going to let you in on a little secret about season 2 of the Drew Barrymore Show.
The new season of Drew premieres September 13th.
Welcome back. Season 2 of the Drew Barrymore Show kicks off Monday, September 13th, 1 week from today. And man, is it going to be huge. So huge, in fact, it's bi-coastal. We're doing shows in New York, and we're doing shows in Los Angeles. That's right. I'm going back to my hometown to celebrate the people and places where I grew up. It's very personal, actually, and very invitational. Over the course of the premiere, we're going to celebrate your hometowns as well, because, as they say, there's no place like home. And it's all happening 1 week from today. The season 2 premiere of the Emmy-nominated Drew Barrymore Show. Oh, my goodness. Make sure to come join us. Tune in. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Hopefully.